Hi, Professor. This is week 4 of the video reflective practitioner journal, and the prompt for this week is: if corporal punishment was outlawed in the state, how might you respond to support families in the school? So to answer this question, I read a lot of the child abuse chapter in the ethics book. Some of the stats are a bit staggering, just when considering, child abuse in general and just how to spot such signs. So corporal punishment is a little bit different than child abuse. And this week we've looked at mandating reporter, and I've just finished taking that course online. With the corporal punishment, I think the rule, or not the rule, but the guidelines for the school counselor are to kind of act as an agent of change. That's kind of a phrase that I've found a lot in the text. So to act as an agent of change and kind of coordinate the behaviors so that if corporal punishment is not allowed, physical punishment is not allowed at the school, to kind of mirror that for the child's home life as well. So obviously for the school counselor to report any suspected signs of child abuse or neglect or anything like that to CPS. And then the abuse of children is not limited to the home, and that corporal punishment by school authorities can be considered child abuse. That was a direct quote from the book that I found interesting. So I think just having the counselor act as kind of like a coping mechanism and teaching the student different coping mechanisms, and the adult parents, how to monitor and curb any sort of abusive behavior, how to put into motion behavioral changes, develop better interpersonal skills, and then providing like a network for the other staff members and for other school personnel to kind of follow up on those counseling services, and then put motion into place so that it kind of prevents the abuse from occurring initially. So if there are all of these movements in place, hopefully there won't be any abuse. If people know how to deal with their emotions, they know how to handle anger, they have coping mechanisms, they know how to discipline in terms of using physical abuse. Something I did find in the chapter is that child abuse is a cyclical thing, unfortunately. So what that means is if I come from a home of abused parents that abuse me, then I'm more likely to be an abuser as a parent myself. So if we can break the cycle by teaching them these coping mechanisms and interpersonal skills and such, I think that it's going to be more effective for future generations. So in addition to this, I think just acting as an agent of change and then acting as a support system for the parents and the student, this role in terms of child abuse and managing it, and corporal punishment and things like that, supporting families, I think firstly, I always discuss this every week, that the client is the student. However, in this case, I really think it's very important to address the family, because if the student doesn't have that same support at home, it's going to be really difficult for them to understand how to deal with these issues. So taking into consideration this idea of corporal punishment, it's going to be very important to keep a good relationship with your clients, meaning your students' families, and understanding them and understanding their background, and then ensuring that they have those skills so that they can provide a safe environment for their child, and that can be mirrored at home. Okay, thank you. Week 4. Thanks, Professor.